Hare Krishna, everyone, and a warm welcome back once again to our ever ongoing lecture series entitled The Glories of Sri Vrindavan Dham. Namo Om Vishnupadaya Krishna Pashdaya Bhutale Srimati Bhaktivedanta Swaminiti Namane Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pacharine Nivishesha Shunyavadi Pastrata Deshatarine. All glories to Srila Prabhupada. So we're continuing with our mini-series on stimulation for ecstatic love, and this is part 188, in which we continue with our present theme of the glories of Vrindavaneshwari Srimati Radharani, and today we will begin discussing her lotus face. So let me start with two very beautiful verses describing her face. You could say setting the scene. The first is from Srila Prabodhananda Saraswati in his Sangita Madhava, first chapter, verse 32. Herein, Krishna is calling out to Srimati Radharani. O Radha, my mind constantly remembers your beautiful face, like a splendid moon, the best of nectar oceans, or a stream of honey nectar flowing from your gentle smile. As my mind remembers your face, it yearns to enjoy loving pastimes with you. O Sri Radha, where are you? Please give me sight of your beautiful form. Please give me sight of your beautiful form. Now, this second verse is from Govinda Lilamrita. It's verse 95. To nourish Sri Krishna's honeybee-like eyes, the Creator fashioned a lake of nectarian beauty, known as Sri Radhika's face. In this lake, two sweet blue lotus flowers, her eyes, spring forth, while her moon-like cheeks cause them to blossom. While her moon-like cheeks cause them to blossom. So, I was studying, in Sanskrit literature there are many terms for face, like vaktram, asyam, vadanam, tundam, ananam, lapanam, and the most famous that we're familiar with is mukam. And all these terms are given in the Amarakosh 2689. Now, as we heard, Srimati Radharani's beautiful face is often compared to the moon. And there's a delightful pastime about this involving two great devotee poets. On Ganesh Chaturthi, which is the appearance day of Lord Ganesh, the moon is actually only a small crescent in the evening sky, and many people in India observe a full fast on that day, and traditionally they break the fast only after seeing that first crescent moon in the evening. So one poet, Sri Achyuta Rai, beautifully describes how this takes place in Sri Vrindavan Dham. He writes, once on the evening of Ganesh Chaturthi, all the residents of Vrindavan caught sight of Radharani's radiant face. Mistaking it for the newly risen crescent moon, they joyfully concluded that it was time to break their fast, and so they did. It's beautiful and a charming image. But when another great devotee poet, Sri Harisuri, who we often quote, heard this verse, he appreciated its beautiful sentiment, yet he felt there was a problem. He thought, how can Radharani's face be compared to a tiny crescent moon? For the scriptures glorify her as Sampur Nendu Mukhi. It means she whose face is as glorious as the full moon, not a crescent moon, but the full moon. So Harisuri, it's described, gently refined the verse. He wrote, Sri Radha was standing on the rooftop of her palace with the edge of her sari partially covering her face. Seeing only a portion of her moon-like beauty, the residents of Vrindavan mistook it for the slender crescent moon of Ganesh Chaturthi, and so they happily broke their fast. So therein the residents of Vrindavan mistook only the visible portion of her full moon face for the crescent moon, and then they broke their fast. So in his poem, in writing in this way, Harisuri preserved the sweetness of Achyuta Rai's original idea while also protecting an important truth. Sri Radha's face can never be compared to a mere crescent moon. It can only be compared to the brilliance of the full moon. So I was thinking, this is the devotion of great Vaishnava poets. They're not content with simply composing beautiful verses. Every comparison, every metaphor, every word must be worthy of Krishna or Srimati Radharani's glories, or the glories of anything and everything in Sri Vrindavan Dham. So Sri Harisuri was not correcting another poet. He was protecting Sri Radha's glory. He knew that her beauty can never be diminished. Her face is eternally described as Sambhur Nenda Mukhi, she whose face shines with the splendor of a full moon. So the poetry remained perfect, the theology remained perfect, and the sweetness became even sweeter. Perhaps this is why the writings of great Vaishnava poets, or the writings of great Vaishnavas, continue to nourish our hearts century after century. They do not write to display literary genius. They write because they cannot bear to glorify Shri Radha and Krishna in any way less than perfectly. Hare Krishna. Now moving on, in the Vidagdha Madhava, the play, 132 by Srila Rupa Goswami, he glorifies Srimati Radharani's beauty by comparing her face to an entire forest of blooming lotuses. He writes, "The beauty of Srimati Radharani's eyes steals away the beauty of freshly blossomed blue lotus flowers. The beauty of her face surpasses that of an entire forest filled with blooming lotuses. The golden radiance of her body puts even pure gold to shame. Thus the unprecedented beauty of Srimati Radharani is now manifest in Vrindavan. Now manifest in Vrindavan." What a remarkable description. But then, this is interesting, later in the same drama, Vidagdha Madhava, Rupa Goswami reveals an even deeper truth. This time, he places the words in the mouth of Krishna himself. For Krishna says in the upcoming verse that even the moon and even the lotus are unworthy comparisons for Radharani's face. These are the words of the Lord. Vidur eti diva virupatam satap patram bata sa vani mukhe iti kena sada shri yojvalam tulanam arati mat priyananam. Beautiful flowing Sanskrit. Krishna said, the moon appears wonderfully beautiful, but only at night. During the day, its beauty fades. And the lotus is exquisite, but only during the day. When night falls, it closes its petals. But the face of my beloved, Srimati Radharani, is forever radiant, day and night. Tell me then, what in all creation can possibly be compared to her face? Now this beautiful verse is also quoted by Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami in Chaitanya Charitamrita Anjali 1:170. Now, on her face, Sri Radha often displays a great variety of mixed emotions, as we all do. Many times you can understand what's happening to a person or what they're thinking just by looking at their face, their angry face, happy face, confused face. So also on Radharani, in a transcendental way, her face displays a great variety of mixed emotions. And our acharyas call these mixed emotions on the face of Radharani Kila Kinchita. Kila Kinchita. And they're very nicely described, some of them, in Govinda Lilamritam as follows. Agitated by tears, Srimati Radharani's eyes were tinged with red, just like the eastern horizon at sunrise. Her lips began to move with jubilation by loving desire. Her eyebrows curved and her lotus-like face smiled mildly. Seeing Srimati Radharani's face exhibit such a mixture of emotions, Kila Kinchita, Lord Sri Krishna felt 1,000,000 times happier than when he embraced her. Indeed, Lord Krishna's happiness is not at all mundane. Wow. Now that verse is also quoted in Chaitanya Charitamrita Madhya 14:181. Now Sri Kavi Karnapur also glorifies these various features or emotions, Kila Kinchita, of the face of Sri Radha in his illustrious Chaitanya Chandrodaya Natakam 338, as follows. May Sri Radhika, her face like the full moon, her eyes like lotuses, and her breasts like cuckoo birds, her smile like a white lotus, her neck like a conch shell, and her beauty crushing Lakshmi's pride, filled with all auspiciousness, and like the auspicious introduction to this wonderful play of the Lord's pastimes in Vrindavan. Bless you all. We're being blessed. Now, here's something interesting. That even when covered by her sari, Radharani's face makes the sari look more beautiful. In his Chaitanya Chandrodaya Natakam 3:170, Sri Kavi Karnapura quotes Krishna. Krishna speaking here. Aho tiram yadvam bhartate vasan avrita mukha ya yata. When Sri Radha covers her face with her sari, she becomes very beautiful. So therefore, in Radharasa Sudhanidhi by Srila Prabodhanda Saraswati, he prays for darshan of her face as follows, and we can hope one day to follow in his footsteps, to have the same eagerness to see her face. He writes, when will the sweet and graceful nectar ocean that is Radha's face, an ocean filled at every moment with waves of sweetness, charm, beauty, and wonderfully beautiful pastimes, appear before us? Appear before us. When will that day be ours? By Prabhupada's grace. Now here is a nice pastime. It's time for pastime. Lots of verses. Setting the scene. Here's a very beautiful pastime about Srimati Radharani's face. One beautiful summer morning, the cowherd boys brought their cows to Terrakadamba. Most of us know where is Terrakadamba. There's so many beautiful pastimes of the Lord taking place. So one beautiful summer morning, the cowherd boys brought their cows to Terrakadamba. And as they arrived, Krishna sat down beside the roadside to milk one of the cows. Now he deliberately chose that spot so that he could easily see Srimati Radharani as she passed by that morning, and so that she could easily see him as well. So soon the gopis appeared in the distance, walking together, and from Krishna's playful smile they sensed that he was planning some mischievous pastime. But Radharani, pretending complete indifference, continued walking with, it's described, great dignity determined not to give him, Krishna, any satisfaction of, or the satisfaction of interrupting her journey. Now Krishna also acted as though nothing unusual was happening. Sitting with his back to the path, he appeared fully absorbed in milking his cow, as if he had not even noticed the approaching gopis. But appearances can be deceiving. And just as Radharani was secretly watching Krishna through a small opening in her veil, Krishna was carefully observing her approach from the corner of one of his eyes. And as the gopis drew closer, it's described the soft jingling of their ankle bells blended with the rhythmic sound of milk streaming into the pail. Is that not poetry? As the gopis drew closer, the soft jingling of their ankle bells blended with the rhythmic sound of milk streaming into the bucket, the pail. And it's described gradually those two sounds seemed to drown out everything else. The breeze moving through the trees, the gentle cooing of doves, and the peaceful lowing of the cows. Moo. And this is an interesting phrase. It says, a delightful tension filled the air. A delightful tension filled the air. This is Braj. And although both Krishna and the gopis tried to appear perfectly natural, everyone could sense something was about to happen. Even nature itself seemed to pause in eager anticipation. Then at the very moment the gopis came alongside him, Krishna made his move. Although Radharani was surrounded by her Sakis and covered more or less from head to toe, Krishna expertly directed a stream of fresh milk straight from the cow's teat that he was milking onto her beautiful face. And Radharani cried out in surprise, while her friends just burst into delightful laughter. So Krishna simply continued milking. It's described sending playful streams of milk all over Radharani and all the gopis around her. And trying to escape this unexpected shower of milk, the gopis just scattered in every direction. And in the confusion, Radharani was left standing alone. So seizing upon this opportunity, Krishna immediately sprang to his feet. And startled by his sudden movement, the cow he was milking lurched a little bit forward, briefly blocking all the gopis' view. And hidden behind the cow for just a moment, Krishna stepped beside Radharani and gently kissed her soft cheek. A confidential exchange witnessed only by the fortunate parrots perched in the branches overhead. And very gently he kissed her soft cheek. Confidential exchange, but it was witnessed only by the fortunate parrots in the branches above. So a moment later, the cow moved on. And Lalita Saki saw that Krishna was standing beside her dearest friend, Sri Radha. So rushing forward, she called out, "Leave her alone, you mischievous boy!" Now, although Krishna, we know he's feared by feared personified, he himself becomes cautious when Lalita Devi displays her loving anger in trying to protect Radha from Krishna. So, with one final playful kiss upon Radharani's blushing cheek, Krishna quickly ran back to his cowherd friends, who erupted in loud cheers, celebrating what? His daring victory. It's described like that, his daring victory. So in that sacred place of Terakadamba, Krishna delighted in teasing Srimati Radharani and her gopis. And I was thinking, simply hearing this enchanting pastime helps to cleanse our hearts of all impurities and awaken deep within our heart that seed of pure love for the divine couple. Hare Krishna. So, let us conclude today with an exquisitely beautiful verse. It's from Lalita Madhava, 10:260. Now, I just came across this verse a couple of days ago, and I have added it to my list of favorite verses. I'm sure every devotee has, favorite verses. So this has become one of my favorite verses, and maybe when you hear it, it will also become one of your favorite verses. Here's the verse. O Krishna, please bestow your mercy upon those souls who have given up everything, holding on only to the hope of one day attaining you. Bless them to remain forever steadfast in residing in the supremely sweet land of Mathura. O beloved Lord of Gokula, become their dearest friend, and in due course reveal yourself to them in your enchanting form as the beautiful young cowherd boy of Braj. Hare Krishna. So that's our first class on Vrindavaneshwari Srimati Radharani's face. There's more information. I'll try to compile it. I'm a little busy. This summer I'm up on the Baltic Sea coast in Poland, as many of you know, and we're having our 36th annual Festival of India along all the towns and villages of this coast. We're here for 5 or 6 weeks, and we have a festival every day. We're preparing to one day go back to the spiritual world, but there is a festival every day, but it keeps me busy. The management and the Harinams and the events themselves, they're 5-6 hours long, and there's the lecture, and we get back late, like 11 o'clock at night, up early in the morning for the morning program. But it's all nectar, it's all bliss, and we will find time to dive deep into our shastras and find more nectar about our beloved Srimati Radharani. So thank you, Prabhu. Shri Shri Gauranitai ki, Shri Shri Krishna Balaram ki, Shri Shri Radha Shama Sundar ki, Vrindavaneshwari Srimati Radharani ki, Mayapur Dham ki, Gauranitai ki, Shri Krishna Sankirtan Yagya ki, the path home back to Goloka Vrindavan Dham, Shri Shri Gauranitai ki, Gaur Premanandi, Jai Jai Sri Radhe, Sharm, Sharm, Sharm. Glories to Srila Prabhupada.